Hello, and welcome to another episode of Andy Shed Live. This is Series 12, episode number 17 for Sunday, the 14th of May 2023. Hello there, everybody, and welcome to the show for yet another Sunday evening. I do hope you are well, and yeah, we've got all sorts on the show for you tonight. But also, what is happening tonight is the phone-in is back tonight. So, if you want to call us, there is the number to call, up there somewhere. 024687201. It only works on CNET. It has to be a CNET phone for that to work. So 024687201 if you want to call us in over CNET today. All sorts on the show this evening. Quite a few of you are already in the old chat. I see Christopher's here, Dominic's here, Penfold's here, Fat Hobbit's here, Keith is here, Maget's here, Gambo's here, Pooper Scooper is here. He's somehow managed to get a little icon of a telephone in the chat. How have you done that? Wesley's here. Yeah, everybody seems to be here tonight. Right now I'll read what you're all saying, shall I? Everybody's basically saying hello. Keith says, even though back at 6:30, need to take Doug out in the garden for a bit. Well, we're fashionably late as usual, so I assume you're back now, Keith. Yeah, so even all nice to see the sun is out. Is summer here? Yeah, I think blinking you missed it. I think that was summer today. Looks like we've got a call coming in. I do believe it's our very own Christopher. Let's see if this works. Let's see if I can answer it. All right, keep calling, Chris. I'm just sorting myself out. No, try it again. I think I pressed the wrong button. He'll try again in a minute. I pressed the wrong thing, I think. I've not got the hang of this yet. I will eventually. We'll get there with it eventually. Somehow or other. But yeah, right. Oh, there he is. Right. Let's see if I can do it right this time. Right. Hello, Christopher.
Hi, Andy.
Hiya. Oh, that's clear tonight. That's very good. That is. How are you?
Good.
Good. Oh, what have you been up to?
Been filming special train tonight.
Filming. What train is it? What train is it tonight?
There was the 707 Heritage operations train, and they were the night I was filming today. They got given one of the B-line NSEC cars. They recently restored and gave it to them tonight when I was at Suffolk Station.
Ah, so it was a donation then, that was it?
Yeah, they gave one of their carriages. It was not even on the list they were going to get given the carriage. I just was shunning into the platform, hooked up to the train. They towed it back to their workshops.
Ah, I see. Hello. How can two people ring at once on this? How does that work? I don't know how the heck that works. Hang in there, Michael. Try again in a minute. I don't know how can two people ring on the same number at the same time?
Maybe we can have conference calls on this, maybe, Andy.
Let's try it, shall we? Right. Let's see if it works. Right. Hang on there, Michael. Let's see if it works. This. Right, can you hear me, Michael?
No one would have believed in the last years of the 19th century that human affairs were being watched keenly and closely by intelligences greater than man's, and yet as mortal as his own. that as men busied themselves about their affairs, they were scrutinized and studied, perhaps almost as narrowly as a man with a microscope might scrutinize the transient creatures that swarm and multiply in a drop of water.
Sounds like.
With infinite okay, it's just this page, Andy.
It sounds like you got a bit War with the Worlds.
Yeah, that's it. With infinite complacency, men went to and fro over this globe about their little affairs, serene in their assurance of their empire over matter. It is possible that the infusoria under the microscope do the same. No one gave a thought to the older worlds of space as sources of human danger, or thought of them only to dismiss the idea of life upon them as impossible or improbable. I'm coming up to this wonderful line now. It is curious to recall some of the mental habits of those departed days. At most, terrestrial men fancied there might be other men upon Mars, perhaps inferior to themselves, and ready to welcome a missionary enterprise. Yet across the gulf of space, minds that to our minds as ours are the beasts that perish, intellects vast and cool and unsympathetic, regarded this earth with envious eyes, and slowly and surely drew their plans against us. And early in the 20th century came the Great Disillusionment.
Very good. What do you do for an encore?
Okay.
Very, very good. Well, we've proved it works.
It works, doesn't it? Anyway, I'm gonna go to the fridge now and get myself a beer. So yeah, you take it easy, Andy. Thank you very much.
I will do. Thanks, Michael. See you soon.
Cheers, Andy.
Cheers. Bye.
Died.
That's Michael gone. It
Yeah,
doesn't
I didn't hear one word of Michael on this phone.
Didn't you? No, it doesn't conference call apparently. It holds one and takes the other. So you can hold one and take one, but it doesn't conference them together. Apparently.
Yeah, well, at least I got the mic working right in this phone for a change.
Yeah, you're actually a lot louder than Michael was. You're way better.
Yeah, 'cause I put one of those 1980s mics in this 1964 Ericsson of mine.
So what have you got in now? Have you got a granular microphone in it?
No, we call it the electronic type red microphone.
Oh right, yeah.
I've got my laptop turned right down so they don't get the noise of the back feed through the thing.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, I was at also went to the Melbourne's Tramway Museum as well with the old W class trams there as well.
So how many of those are left? We had your photos last week.
There's 10 W type trams left in. So it's been the Tram Museum. They've got all the types of the W's preserved. They're all different types of old trams they had back in service. But since the tram changed the overhead for pantograph operation, they can't run these old trams. They've got trolley poles on them.
No, I don't see why they can't run both. There's no reason. It all depends on how you design your overhead wires. But there's no reason why trolley poles and pantographs can't run together.
The simple reason was because it was running a groove into the pantograph that they changed all the overhead nowadays for.
Yeah, well the overhead should zigzag.
Yeah, well now trolley pole wire it was dead straight cable, and the problem was when they bought the pantographs and it's running grooves into the pantographs.
Yeah.
They didn't think of zigzagging the wire with the trolley pole system on it. That's what they didn't think of doing back in the 90s.
Yeah, well, what happens is the pantographs, the way it works here, the way it works in Blackpool, and Melbourne might have a different method. The way it works in Blackpool, the pantograph's got carbon blocks on the top of the pantograph.
Yes.
And that's what touches the wire.
Yeah, that's what we have here. Carbon blocks on ours.
Right. Well, in Blackpool, the carbon blocks are in 3 bits. So there's a left block, a right block, and a middle block.
Yes.
And they can change them all independently. So all they do is just change the middle one more often, because obviously that's the one that gets a groove in it. So that's all they do in Blackpool.
Very soon the trolley pole overhead where I am in South Melbourne's being replaced very soon with the newer modern pantograph wire.
Yeah, well, it shouldn't make any difference. You should still be able to run a trolley on it, provided you've still got the frogs in the junctions.
Yeah, that's what they're taking down and putting the standard wire without frogs nowadays. They're taking all those down.
So they're just putting in like blank wire.
Yes.
Without any frogs in it.
Yeah.
Mm.
But you can actually run those old trolley poles without the frogs. You have to do when you get to a junction. You've got to pull the pole down and let the tram coast through the junctions.
Yeah. It's not an easy manoeuvre, that.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
Yeah, seems a bit. There's no real reason to do it. I mean, the comparable system here is Blackpool, and they, as far as I know, trolley pole fitted trams can go all over in Blackpool, including down the new extension to North Station, because there are fixed frogs in Blackpool, most of them. So they've not got a moving blade in them. It's fixed, and it kind of
Melbourne.
Yeah, and it kind of drags it the way you want to go, but the trolley pole has to be the right length. If you have a short pole or a long pole, it doesn't always drag it where it should, and that's when they come off. But yeah, if they wanted to make it compatible for both types of collectors, there's no reason that they can't.
Because in this tram museum, I think they've got 30 trams. Only one is operational on the network.
Because it's got a pantograph.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really a nuisance because they used to run these heritage trams every weekend before 2014. They've been out of service for so long now that they haven't run for years.
Yeah. Yeah. How difficult would it be to fit a pantograph to them? How difficult would it be?
Yeah, they've got to take the pole off one end, take the what you call the spindle part off the springs, put a base on the roof, and then add the pantographs.
Yeah, you can. There is such a thing. There is you can fit a thing called a bow collector for a start, which I don't know if anywhere had them other than here, but they had them here in Leeds.
Yeah.
Or you can fit a fancy trolley pole that instead of it having a wheel on the end, has got a long bar on the end.
Yes.
A bit like the pan of a pantograph, so the trolley pole makes like a T.
Yes.
And that then makes it very similar to a pantograph. The only problem is the rubbing bit of that is behind where it would be if it was a pantograph. So if you've got a pantograph mounted in the middle of your vehicle, and your overhead wire is sort of aligned for that, if you have one of these T collector things, your wire might not be aligned right for it, because the rubbing surface is at the rear of the vehicle, not in the middle.
Yes.
Because of the length of the pole. You see what I'm? But it can certainly be done. It's not impossible, and that would only involve changing the head on the trolleys.
Yeah, I know they've converted a few trams in the past in Melbourne to pantograph operations, like the Z3s we've got over here in the A2s and A1s. They originally were trolley pole vehicles. They've been converted all to pantograph operation.
Yeah.
And same with the W's that we got in service now. They're being converted to pantograph operation.
What do they do in does it ever get cold in Melbourne? Does it ever get below freezing?
It gets to, what has been the coldest thing over here we've had? In the weather, is it 1 degree we've had over here? Yeah, we have had got down to 1 degree in Melbourne once, but that's how cold it gets over here.
So it doesn't get to freezing then, so ice isn't a problem.
We do get ice on the wire. That does sometimes happen, because I've seen that happen in the frost where the trams, like, pantographs sparkle a whole lot down the lines.
Yeah, does that stop them? Because
No.
that stops them in Blackpool.
No, it doesn't stop them here. It just draws arcs every time it runs through the ice.
They have to, yeah, but those arcs cause a lot of damage to the pantographs and to the wire, because you're effectively arc welding the pantograph to the overhead wire.
Yeah.
What they do in Blackpool, they run a trolley pole fitted tram, usually overnight to break the ice.
Yes.
And if they're really keen, they have one with a special wheel on the trolley, an icebreaker wheel, whereas the groove of the wheel has got ridges on it.
Yeah.
So the ridges, as it goes around, break the ice off the wire.
Yeah, I know it really does stop our trams over here. If we have a really hard downpour, that does stop our trams run. They have to stop the trams completely and shut down the entire system.
Why?
Because it floods the tram lines. What happens then? Water gets into the electric motors, what causes the trams to short circuit. Like I've actually experienced that in first hand when I was riding a W, where we had to stop. Like the water got above 2 inches, and the tram wheels actually got in the water. And they couldn't run the W because it was short circuiting the wheels.
Well, I don't think we generally get that as a problem. I don't think we get enough. I don't think we've got anywhere that floods though that's got trams like
Yeah,
that.
the main problem with this was, when they built those disability-style trams, making the trams up high as the tram doors, that's what's causing all this issue, because since they had those trams in Melbourne, that's causing the water to flood on the tram tracks.
So it's the infrastructure that's not letting the water drain away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we had a similar thing happen thanks to our Premier removing the level crossing at Lilydale Station. That flooded out Lilydale's area with the new train station what's above ground. When they put the station in, they blocked up all the sewage drains, and they flooded the entire street when we had a big downpour once as well.
That doesn't sound good. That does not sound good at all. Sounds like they could do with doing a bit better planning.
You know, when you're on the last week, when you mentioned about those little stop signs on the side of the tram, they're used in the outer suburbs of Melbourne where they don't have the newer tram stops yet.
Yeah.
Where they have to walk out from the tram into the middle of the street to get on the tram. They have them in the outer suburbs, those types of tram stops still.
Yeah. So then, they've not actually got platforms.
Yes.
Are the platforms? You see the. When I saw that, I thought they've overcome what Blackpool here made a problem, in that when Blackpool built the platforms,
yes,
they decided none of the old trams could run because they weren't perfectly in line with the platforms.
Yeah, that's the problem we have here with the metro, actually on our railway system. Actually, when they run the old red rattlers through these, so they put this raised bump in the platform for wheelchairs to get onto without having using to drive somewhere with a ramp. They've had this plastic stuff. When the red rattler runs past this platform, it sets fire almost to the plastic on the platform.
Rub on it then, it catch it.
Yeah, it catches it, puffs out white smoke, and it almost sets the rubber on fire with friction. Look, if you watch one of my videos, I filmed the red rattler on I think Belgrave kind of thing it was. You actually can see when I was at Ringwood Station, the whole thing when it runs past starts the thing smoking like crazy.
So what's the plastic thing for then? Is that like it?
Yeah, it's a raised bump and it makes it level with the train door. So when a disability person will get on the train, he's go up the little raised bit and go rolling into the train so they can get on the train by having the wheelchair ramp laid on the platform.
Right. So the Blackpool problem, they said, was that the platforms were not close enough to the vehicle.
Yes.
That's because some of the old trams, they rebuilt them with like bulging out doors in them, so the door is wider than the rest of the vehicle. They look really, really stupid. To make them wide enough to sort of meet up with the platforms. But they really over-engineered it. That's all I can say about it.
Yeah, same with our E-Class trams. They're actually rubbish nowadays as well, because they keep on breaking down every time as well.
Yeah, well, it's too much technology. That's the problem.
And one thing, ever since we had these E-Class come into use also, they've also been breaking a lot of their overhead cable as well in Melbourne, the new E-Class trams as well. Because the pantograph, because they're using the old style B-Class pantograph on the new style tram, because it's not the same height as a B-Class, the pantograph gets stuck in the cable and it rips the overhead down and the tram's going 50 kilometres through the city.
So how does it get in it? Does the pantograph push the wire up, and then the wire slides off the side of the pantograph? The pantograph is then free to flick up. Then as it goes forward, where the wire is higher, the pantograph then pulls the wire down because the wire's underneath it.
And also when we have those underpass bridges where they have the wire going underneath a bridge as well.
Yeah, well, the wire's not tight enough then. The wire needs tightening up.
Yeah.
Because it shouldn't be able to push it off the top of the pantograph. If it was
all this heat over here anyway, probably that's what's causing the problem, because the overhead heats up and stretches all the time.
Yeah, so that will make it loose as well. Yeah. Also, if they're now using this paraffin stuff for the span wires, that is effectively plastic, of course that'll stretch as well. So, that has happened. That has happened here. It happened in Blackpool. I don't know if you're familiar with the Blackpool tramway here, but Blackpool, seaside town, it's got 3 piers out into the sea.
Yes.
And some friends of mine once had a shop on the landward end of one of these piers, on the landward end of North Pier, and it used to sell all kinds of Blackpool memorabilia, like pin badges and mugs and photographs and postcards and stuff like that, and a lot of it was to do with the tramway.
Yes.
And I'm going back quite a long time now, but I remember going to see them one day, and there was all pandemonium breaking loose, and there were no trams running. And there was a replacement bus, so I got on the replacement bus, went to North Pier, where David and Linda's shop was.
Yes.
And at North Pier, there was a tram with no pantograph.
Yes.
And the overhead wire on the ground.
Yes.
And of course, what had happened? Luckily, the overhead wire had hit the ground, hit the track, and shorted out, and it had blown a breaker in a substation somewhere, so the whole lot stopped.
Yes.
But the thing was, the tram had lost the pan bit of the pantograph, you know, the rubbing plate part. And they couldn't find it anywhere, this pan. Because what had happened, it had done exactly what we've just been talking about. It had been going along, and the track was in a fairly bad state, so it started to rock side to side. And of course, up at the height of the pantograph, that motion is sort of inflated, isn't it? So the tram rocked, the pantograph came out sideways from under the wire. Because it's spring-loaded, it then went up. The tram came back to centre. The pan bit of the pantograph is now above the wires.
Yep.
It went a bit further along, hit a span wire. That then stopped the pantograph moving while the tram was going forward.
Yes.
It then bent the pantograph backwards, pulled it down, and started to pull the overhead down, but in the process broke the fittings of the pan to the thing, and the plate on the top went shooting off into oblivion.
Yeah.
and it took them a week to find it. And it was on the shop roof. It was on David and Linda's shop roof. The pan off the pantograph on the end on the end of North Pier.
Yeah, a tram did that here in Melbourne recently. He pulled the tyre pantograph off a roof of a tram recently.
Yeah, they're not.
So my friend who works in the Malvern tram depot showed me a photo where one of the trams actually ripped the tyre pantograph. The whole thing was ripped off the roof. Like the base and all was ripped off the tram.
Yeah, I don't know if they're actually designed to do it. I think they might be designed to do. I think the idea is that the pantograph breaks before the overhead breaks. In theory.
Yeah, they're designed like that here. They are. So if they have like a wooden bit in the middle of in the panel, so if it gets snagged, instead of doing damage to the wire, it rips it off the tram roof instead of doing damage to the overhead.
Yeah, well that didn't work in Blackpool. It damaged both.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would make sense, wouldn't it? Just damage one tram rather than damage the whole of the system.
Yeah, my friend's funny when he was driving a Z3 the other night. What he did, he's not supposed to take the tram above 50 miles per hour in Balaclava. My friend put his foot to the floor and got the tram almost up to 60 kilometres.
Wow.
He got up to 59 going down Balaclava about 10 o'clock at night.
Trying to work out what that is in miles per hour for people over here. It's quite quick, isn't it? 60k in miles per hour. It's about 40, 45, something like that. Yeah. Quite quick for it.
The pantograph was sparking like crazy, like anything. He's putting his foot to the floor.
Yeah, well, it'll probably be trying to put. Are they single arm or are they diamonds?
I'll send you a photo. So I'm not sure what you're talking about. They'll either send you a photo of that to show you one of our pantographs.
If you look at the pantograph from the side, some are a diamond shape, so they've effectively got two arms going up. So the base of your tram is there, and you've got two arms, and then it comes back together as one like that. Then you've got your thing on the top there, your collector, and it pushes down and sort of distorts a square shape, distorts a diamond. That's a diamond pan. A single arm pan is, I can't do it, but it's that sort of shape.
Yeah, I want the double head type ours.
The double one, the diamonds.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're supposed to be better, because the problem with the single arm ones is they're fine going that way, but if they go that way, they tend to catch and snag up and flip over.
Oh, no, actually, I'm saying it the wrong way round. We have the diamond pantograph on the red back. It's the single arm one on our trams, actually. Got it the other way round, if I'm thinking of here.
Yeah, well, those single-armed ones, they're fine if they're running with that sort of midpoint forwards. But when they run with the midpoint backwards and they're going that way, it can snag in the wire like that, go up, shove the wire up, flip over and break it in two.
Yes.
Because they tried them in Blackpool.
Yes.
They were made by a company called Brecknell Willis.
Yeah.
The experimental ones in Blackpool, and they made them for railways. They were a bit over-engineered because they were designed for railways rather than tramways, and it did not work.
We used two types of pantographs. So we used like not like on the low floor trams in Blackpool, those type of pantographs. We used them on some of our trams, and then we used the older style single arm pantographs as well.
Ah. Yeah, it's the single arm ones that will cause the problems.
Yes.
Definitely. Yeah. Right. I'd better get on. Better get on and see what's happening. But yeah, it's nice to talk to you anyway, Christopher.
Yep.
And keep us informed with what's going on in sunny Australia.
At least the mic's working this time, and at least I connected the wires this time. And this, I did a mistake the other day on my Red 746. I put the mic in, but I forgot to connect up the wires. I was trying to figure out why this phone wouldn't work, and I didn't have to. I tested the dial, and everyone get the phone to work. And I realised it was actually the microphone wasn't connected up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I changed the circuit board, changed the dial, and I couldn't figure out why it wouldn't work.
Was it disconnected at the handset end?
Yes.
So you're looking inside the phone and can't find what's wrong, but it's just disconnected inside the handset.
Yes.
Yep, I've done that. It's amazing how many I get that come into me that are complete, but the element in the handset is not actually wired up. You know, it got one here, but I can't get it apart. But yeah, they're often. Oh, that is actually wired up, that one, but they're often not.
Yeah, I've had one in the past where someone actually glued the actual thing onto the phone and I couldn't get it off.
Tell me about it. Yes.
Yeah, it was one of my bake-offs. So lucky enough I had a spare cap, so what I was able to do, I was able to get my little Dremel, cut the cap in half to get off, and put the new old stock cap back onto the phone again.
I have still got the Australian Bakelite phone that you sent a dial for.
Yes.
Waiting to have that dial fitted, because the dial that's in it was glued in. Yes. It's got a British dial in it.
Yeah.
And somebody glued it in, and I've got no clue what they glued it in with, because it's really in there. It's really in there. And I've tried all sorts of things to melt the glue. Nothing seems to have worked.
Yeah, I know a thing about those 400s. I know they did have dial 21s installed to them, but the ones I've seen on the internet a couple of times have the black 706 style dials with the where you put the screwdriver in to pop the opal out of, with those type of dials.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I believe they had, if I'm saying this right, they had the white with the black numbers, or it was either the black dial plate with the white numbers inside on the dial as well.
Yeah, the one you sent me.
Yes.
Had got a black plate with white numbers on, or perhaps silver numbers on.
Yes.
But it's getting it into the phone. But I think that was a dial 12.
Yes, I've seen one when it had a dial 21 with that style of back plate on it, but the dial 21 style with the flat back dial plate with what fit onto a dial 21.
Yeah, well, it's got this is the 21 that this phone's got in it at the minute. But I want to fit the one that you sent because it's got the right. It's got the right plate. It's got the black plate with the white numbers on.
Yeah, the Bakelite finger wheel as well.
Yeah, and that's designed for a dial 12. You can't put that back plate in a dial 21. They're different.
I know that,
so I've got to get the dial out somehow. So I'm looking at all options. I'm trying to get the dial out without damaging the dial as well, because there's various things you can put in to like melt the glue that probably wouldn't touch the Bakelite, because Bakelite's fairly inert, but it might melt the dial. So, like acetone, for instance. So I'm still working on that one. It's been ongoing now for quite some time, that one. Hello. Hello, did it cut you off?
Yeah, it cut me off for some reason. I'm not sure why it does that on my ATA.
Yeah, I'm not sure. How long was it? Was it 15 minutes?
Yeah, about that I would say, yeah.
Why does it always cut people off after 15 minutes? I don't get that. Yeah, need to get somebody else to try it and see if it does it to them as well.
No, actually it was nearly half an hour that time. Actually, looking at the time on your live stream, to look back, it actually was half an hour at that time.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I've got no idea why it does that, unless it's just sort of an internet dropout for a second or so
Yeah,
that
but
cuts it off.
looking at the at your stream, it doesn't. The stream doesn't stop. Just the ATA goes out.
Yeah, I wonder if it's at this end though. If it's just that the ATA drops out because there's so much bandwidth being used for the stream.
Or it's something to do with the satellites, maybe, where it has to send it over the internet.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, how does it get there? Who knows how it gets there? Whether it goes through a cable or satellites, or whether it goes through a Starlink type arrangement, or what it goes through these days. Who knows how it gets there? Once it goes out the little box on my wall, I don't care how they do it, as long as they do it.
Yeah, I'm actually using my Ericsson N1970B as the phone I'm talking on right now.
Oh, cool! Excellent.
And this phone's almost new. This one, I haven't done any mods to this phone except put the mic into the thing.
Yeah, it sounds really good actually. It does sound really, really clear.
Yeah, I've still got the original one for this phone as well, so it's dated 1964 on the back of it as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
If I want to put it back in, I just take the new one out, put the old one back in again.
Yeah, those electronic microphones don't always work terribly well. There are circumstances where they don't work, where they give feedback and stuff like that. And the official fix is to put an old carbon granule microphone back in. That is the official GPO fix for it. But yours is working well. It sounds good, that one does.
Yeah, and I've also got my other British telephone, my 746L, hooked up to my line. I've had that actually connected for well over 5 months now, that phone.
Yeah.
And it's hardwired to the phone line as well.
Cool. Excellent. Right, you'll have to get a few more.
Yes.
I think 43 have arrived here in the last 6 weeks or so.
Yes. I haven't bought a phone recently. I've not bought any phone since I think 4 months ago now.
No, well, if you're anything like me, nothing comes for ages, and then a load turn up at once, because somebody will get in touch who wants really like 20 or something like that.
I've not looked for eBay for a while. Well, I did bid on eBay though. Well, actually, it was one of those GPO linesman's telephone sets.
Oh, yes. Was it a green one?
Yeah, green one with hang on, let me have a look on the eBay what it was. I can't exactly remember now what it looked like now. Off my mind, I've been thinking of trains all the time.
In a green box.
Yes.
Yeah, I know the ones you mean. Yeah. There was it's a relatively modern one, sort of 70s or maybe even early 80s. That there was a previous version that was in a kind of, not a Bakelite box, but it was like like compressed fibre. The box, like old-fashioned suitcases used to be made out of.
Yeah.
There was a version in that sort of thing. It had reinforced corners and things on it. And those often had Bakelite handsets in those ones.
And the one I'm talking about is like a 1970s to 1980s style one I'm talking about.
Yeah, so it's probably got something like a dial 21 in it and a normal 700 handset.
It looks like one. It was one like you mentioned a few months ago. What someone showed on the internet, what made it go quite rare. One of those type ones, like the military field phone type ones.
Yeah. Yeah, a wind-up one. It's a wind-up one in the green box, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
With the red and the black screw terminals on the top.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I don't know if I've got one of those.
I bid on eBay. I put a $15 bid down because it was set as $9.60 starting. But I put $15, but someone over bidded me on the thing and put about $50. So that's why I didn't bother bidding on it again.
Yeah. They often don't fetch much money because people don't understand how to use them.
Yeah.
They don't understand how they work and that. So So often they don't fetch much money, those.
But Chris, I want to ask, have you ever seen a 706 clone what's got like CS on the back of the phone case before?
Yes, I have. Yes.
Because I saw one of them recently on eBay. I'm not sure who made it though.
I have seen one. In fact, I think I've got one. And I didn't know whose they were.
Yes.
But it was a company. It was a similar idea to telephone rentals.
Yes.
So these phones were made and then put out by a private company on private networks, and that's why it's got the CS on the back.
Yeah.
It's probably something to do with either GEC or Plessy. I'm guessing. I didn't know. I can't remember. But I'm sure I've got one somewhere that's got.
Because there was a totally original one on Australian eBay notice the other day on eBay as well.
Yeah.
I didn't buy it though. This one I might see if it's still on the next time I get paid, and I might buy that one.
Yeah, the ones with CS on are a bit unusual, actually. Although the ones with telephone rentals on the back are unusual as well these days. But the one with CS on, it should be like in silver, like printed on in silver, I think.
That's right. Yeah, silver with the black letters.
Yeah. I didn't know who they were, and I can't remember off the top of my head. Has anybody put it in the chat?
Yeah, and Maget once put it was an Ericsson made phone on the chat. I just noticed on the chat.
Yeah. Is it an Ericsson phone? Do you know?
I wouldn't know if he's talking. I'll look on the eBay and see if I can find it. I'll tell you what I see on the picture.
Because I don't think they are Ericsson. I think they're somebody else.
See if I can find it now on my eBay. I've actually got my eBay right open. I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah, I think it's somebody else. It's the same idea as what Ericsson did with telephone rentals, but it's somebody else. It's like Plessy doing it with part of Plessy that sold phones to private networks.
You know that license phone I was talking about? It's a TMA 1971 license phone I was talking about. I just seen it in the eBay.
TMA. I don't know who they were off the top of my head. I've not got a list of manufacturers in front of me, but that's one of the manufacturers.
No, it's not. That phone I was just saying has CS on the back. No, it's actually got CSA on the back. Actually, not CS on the back.
CSA. Right, that's something different then, because the ones I've seen have got CS on the back.
It's got the number. It's made by Ericsson. It's got the number N1900E8 on the back base of it.
E8.
Yeah.
Just an 8.
Yeah.
Right. That's an unusual one. Yeah.
No, it's not. No, hang on. No, it's N1900. No, N1901 on the base. It's not N1900.
N1901. Yeah, it could be, because they have all different numbers. They seem to have made hundreds and hundreds of very slightly different ones that they put different sort of model numbers on. But that's an unusual one. I'll tell you what I did notice. This batch of phones that I got from London the other day, in fact I've got one of them down here, of which this was one. They're all Ericsson phones, but they've all got different numbers on. They're exactly the same phone, and I'm thinking some of the Ericsson code numbers, you know, they have N1900E something something something, normally E244. Well, I think that the E and then the number relates to a colour, because they're all the same phone and they've all got different numbers. For instance, this one, Oh, I can't read it. All right, I'll let you read it on the camera in just a minute. I will swap your cameras, and when it catches up, hopefully. Right, where is it? There, is it readable? N1900 E2, and it looks actually like it's a bit...
E241.
241, is it?
Yeah.
I can see the 2 and the 4, I can't see the... Yeah, well, I think it relates to the colour, because I've got a green one as well, and that's a different number. That's like E243 or something like that. Not.
Hang on a second. Let me just have a look at my ivory out. I think mine's got E240 on mine. Let me have a look at mine quickly. Obviously, I've got the cables tangled up here, actually. Talking about it. Yeah, mine's got E240 on mine.
So E240 was ivory then?
Yes.
I might have to write this down, Christopher, because this is interesting. This is something we didn't know. Alright, hang on. So, if I can make my magic pen work. Right, so we think then that E240 is ivory, E241 is red, so it follows that there's going to be an E242, an E243, and I'm pretty sure E244 is grey.
Yes.
Because I see a lot of E244s, and they always seem to be grey.
I've seen E245.
Have you? What colour
Yeah.
was that?
If I remember right, that was topaz yellow, but I could be wrong though.
Right, I'll put a question mark against it. So, here's the thing for everybody else who's listening and watching out there. If you've got an Ericsson N1900 phone, and it's got an E in the number, so it'll be N1900E something something something. What colour is it, and what E number is it? Because we think they are the different numbers for different colours. And if that is the case, that means with Ericsson phones we can work out what colour a phone should be if it's lost its original case.
Yeah.
Which of course you can't do with the GPO ones. So that would be good if we can work that out. That'd be really, really good.
Yeah.
But I've never seen any mention of that anywhere.
Yeah, 'cause I know I've got two N1970Bs. I've got one with two different numbers on the base of mine. I
Right.
think this one has, if I can see the number in the dark here, it's got 20, I can't tell, that's 22B on the back of, what's that say, 2B or 228? It's got 28T on the back of this one, I'll put on the green one, and on my other one it's got 38B, I think.
38B.
Let me have a quick look at you. I can't exactly remember off my head what that code was. Hang on, let me have a quick look.
Okay. While you're having a look at that, I'll see what everybody's up to in the chat. The Underpants of Doom says
No, it's 36T on the other one.
Right. The Underpants of Doom says TMA is an earlier code for GNA, made in Scotland.
Yes.
And Wesley's asking. He says, "Did you used to work on the trams in Blackpool, Andy?" I did, Wesley, very briefly, for a summer season. I did, yeah. Mike Hall is here. Hello, Mike. He says, do you have any new phones, Andy? No, Mike. New ones break and end up in the bin. I used to have some cordless phones around the house here, and after buying like 2 sets of them, all of which were absolutely hopeless.
I can see Michael T's asking a question to me on the thing as well.
Yeah. He says, I, Christopher, was wondering, have you gone to the Northern Territories, and particularly Torres Strait?
The answer is no to that, to Michael T. I've only been far is Albury, New South Wales.
Right. So you're not been up there then, wherever.
Yep, that's the furthest I've been. Is Albury, New South Wales.
Right. And Mike also says, any luck with getting the parts for your candlesticks? Right, Mike. That's a bit of an involved question. The main thing that we need is cables for the candlestick phones, and you can buy cables, but they're very, very expensive, or you can buy the cable and plait it yourself, which is a lot cheaper, which is a project I'm working on at the minute, but I have got to get that. Well done for reminding me, because placing an order for that is something that I need to do, so well done for reminding me on that one. And Gambo has spotted the fact that I've got a plan set on the desk here.
Yeah, I saw that myself. Yeah, that one. I just saw that.
And Gambo says he's received one this morning, if I'm reading it right. Oh, I see. I have a 706G plan. Mine is a 746 Mark III, and I received it this morning. Wesley says, how long ago was it that you worked on the trams, Andy? Oh, blimey, Wesley. How long ago was it that I worked on the trams? I'm wanting to say it was 2007. I'm wanting to say it was 2007, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
When did I work on the trams? No, it wasn't. No, it was not. It was before that. It was about 1997. I'm 10 years too late. Yeah, it was about It was roughly about 1997. It was the summer they all went on strike.
Yeah. Same like over here. We had a massive tram strike in the 1990s.
Yeah, it must have been catching.
You probably might have heard that on the news over there when we had the massive tram strike caused by the Met card ticket system.
Oh, yes. I do vaguely remember something about that. Yeah. Yeah, it was these automatic ticket machines, wasn't it?
Yes, phasing out the tram conductors.
Yeah. Yeah, I do vaguely remember something like that, because about 1992 our Sheffield Supertram system opened.
Yeah.
And that had a very similar system where it had ticket machines at the tram stops, and it had validators at the tram stops.
Yes.
It was almightily stupid, because they had a big box at the tram stop that was a ticket machine that you put money in and got a ticket out of.
Same like that here.
Yeah, but then before you got on the tram, you had to put your ticket in another similar looking machine. You had to stick your ticket in it to validate your ticket, because I think when Sheffield opened, single tickets or single fares anywhere on the system were £1, but you had to finish your journey within 90 minutes.
Yeah,
So what used to happen was people would wait for a tram to arrive, and then there'd be a mad rush for these yellow validator machines to stick the ticket into these validators. 9 times out of 10, the validators didn't work.
It's not like our system here, but our system was the other way around. We had the validators and the machine devices actually on the trams themselves.
Yeah, well, that would have been more sensible. But they had them at the tram stops
Yes.
all over Sheffield. They had the ticket machine that you put money in, and the validators.
Yeah, we had those machines
Now-
on the trains as well, so you could be
Now-
rushed to the station.
What do you think happened within days of the Sheffield system opening? What do you think
They
happened?
would have, the companies did massive tram stop due to the conductors.
No.
Well,
What happened was people started stealing forklift trucks
yeah.
and ripping the ticket machines out of the tram stops and pootling off with them because the ticket machines were full of money.
Yes.
And of course they were at every tram stop, including ones way out in the middle of nowhere. And they all got vandalised, stolen, whatever. And
Yeah,
we
there's
don't have...
someone do a similar thing here in Melbourne where someone got one of those big cutting tools at the end of those big angles that work by a petrol engine.
Yep.
Someone did, on our brand new marking machines we had on here for about a year, someone got one of them. I never on the news many years ago. They actually got one and cut the side of the machine open and took the money drawer out of it.
Yeah. Well, the Supertram people here soon realised it was cheaper to pay conductors than it was to keep replacing these ticket machines. So our trams now have conductors on them.
Yeah, but when I was reading about this 1990s tram strike, I never saw that, but I wasn't around in the 90s when they had these tram strikes and all that, back in the 90s.
Yeah.
My mum was, though. She remembers the trams that we had to try and get to work without using the trains, trams and buses.
That would have been about the time of Malcolm, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
No, it was made before that.
Malcolm was made in 1996.
1996. It was as late as that, was it?
No, 86, actually. Again, the
86. Right. Yeah. That sounds more like
that's
it.
a year before South Melbourne Depot actually closed.
Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, ticket machines on platforms on validators are
So
never.
the Malcolm movie was first filmed at South Bank Depot at the start of the movie, and then when they see him taken off from the in the outside escaping the cops, the end of that was just near the Preston Tram Workshop Depot.
Is that the bit where he's disappearing into the distance on his little homemade tram?
Yeah, over the bridge. Yeah, that's going across the bridge towards Preston Workshops Depot.
Yeah.
I know where
Yes.
exactly that is as well.
It's very good. Does that still? I don't suppose that's in a museum or anything anywhere. That tram that he made, is it?
It's in the what they call the Bylands Tram Heritage Centre. That is that tram thing. I'm not sure it's operational still now, but it's been preserved. That.
So what actually was it? Because my memory is it was just like a little platform with like the end of a tram on it.
It was a platform. So it was made by the Melbourne Metropolitan Tramways Board for the movie. It was a platform, had two sets of wheels on it, a 600-volt DC motor, one of those throttle control boxes, two headlights, one on each end, the brake handle, the trolley pole on the roof to make it go, and it ran on the Melbourne Metropolitan Tramway system.
So it was a real thing. It wasn't a bit of moving magic. It wasn't like a cardboard one that they just pushed along or something like that.
No, it actually was running on the 600-volt system.
How brilliant is that?
Because you actually can hear on the movie, you can hear him release the brake, and you can hear him pull the throttle, and you actually hear the power drawing through the motors on the movie as well.
Yeah, well, I didn't know if they like dubbed that on afterwards.
No, that was a real vehicle they made because the Metropolitan Tram Board made it for the movie.
Yeah.
I
Brilliant.
don't know how, but they did.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, there's something they ought to get going again. They definitely ought to get that working again.
Yeah, the hilarious that with a pantograph on the roof to make it go.
Yeah, oh yeah, it'd need a pantograph now, wouldn't it? Yeah.
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 Imagine starting making that nowadays. Someone making that going around the tram system.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty simple to make a vehicle like that now. All you need is a 600-volt motor, some way of controlling with a switch into some car with some wheels and an electric motor and drive around the tram system.
Right. while you're on, Christopher,
Yeah.
I've got a message from Jim Fuller in the chat. I don't know if you can see it or not. He says he's managed to get a 746T. It's in ivory, and there are picks on Pro Board. He says he's having trouble converting it though. No bell sounding.
Yeah.
And hear or hum on transmission or receive.
It depends what country is in it, because it depends on the conversion, which country you're in, doesn't it? You can't tell you until I know which system he's using.
I think he's in the UK. I think Jim is in the UK. Are you getting no sound out of it at all, Jim? Is that the problem? Does it click or anything? Is it completely dead? I'm just waiting for the stream to catch up, because I think
he's
it's
in
about...
the UK. Yeah, he says he's in the UK. That's what he just said on the thing.
Yeah, just waiting for it to catch up. See if it's completely dead. Michael T says, I think I've gone completely deaf. Never thought I'd hear myself say that. Tim Vine. Jim says, it's not dead. I hear a voice, but it's drowned out by a hum.
I'm not sure, Dad. I've never experienced that before with a telephone. I know how to get with it don't completely work. I've done that before.
Yeah, Gambo says it could be a dial issue. I doubt it is a dial issue, because if it was a dial issue, I would have thought it would be dead, because it like shorts the dial out completely generally. One thing it might...
It might be those, when you turn a dot, knocks off the receiver and transmit. It might be some of those connects playing the thing. I had a similar problem with mine a few months ago like that.
Well, I'm wondering if it is one of these electronic microphones.
Yes.
In it. Have a look inside the microphone end of the handset, Jim, and see what's in there. If it's one of these electronic things that is normally either blue or red, aren't they?
Yeah, me something really fun. What me and my friends are thinking of doing in the near future. Me and my friends are thinking of making one of those Malcolm cart things to run on the abandoned railway lines in the near future as well.
Go for it. Go for it.
If a diesel ranges, they can run, not a diesel, but a petrol to run down abandoned railway lines.
Definitely send us a video. They do that all the time in America. They make these little speeder things that they go on, like organised trips with on long abandoned railways. There's lots of YouTube videos about them.
I think I'm doing that to run down abandoned railway lines.
Right. Jim says the microphone in his phone is the red one. Right, Jim. Take that out, and what you want is a spare old-fashioned carbon granule one, and just put a carbon granule one in and see if that improves it, because under certain circumstances, and I can't remember what they are exactly, but we have gone through this before with somebody. In fact, it may be somebody that's on here who'll remember better than me, but we went through this with somebody with a phone, and it turned out this hum problem was the microphone. Was this electronic microphone feeding back somehow, and the official GPO fix for it is actually to put a carbon granule microphone back in.
And there's also a thing with electronic motor. You put your hand in a weird position on the microphone, it does actually back feed on the handsets as well.
Does it? Right.
I can actually demonstrate that. How you listen to this?
Yeah.
I might do it now. I think. No, I was not going to do that. But earlier when I was holding my hand in a weird position, it was actually back feeding on the thing. No, I won't do it now, but it was doing that earlier.
Yeah. Gambo says contacts on the dial can sometimes be an issue. If it's contacts on the dial, normally that makes it completely not work. It doesn't work with a hum normally. A hum generally is getting some feedback somewhere. So I'd say change that microphone element, because you're hearing the hum through the side tone. But I think you'll find it's in the microphone. So change that microphone, preferably for a non-electronic one, and see if that makes it any better, or even indeed cures it.
Now, Andy, if you listen to this, if you listen to my finger up on my hand, I think you actually hear a slight buzzing in the handset. Can you hear that buzzing?
No, we can't hear it at this end.
Yeah, it's buzzing. If you end the weird percentage, starts buzzing on the handset on the thing. I just realised that just now.
Oh. No, we can't hear it at this end. It's not come through.
Yeah, it doesn't do it now, but it was doing it earlier. It was making a very loud buzzing sound before.
They're strange. I suppose, really, when you think about it, you think about how old these phones are. It's amazing they still work at all, really, isn't it?
That's Riversdale Road crossing that one, Mum.
Right, I'm just scanning through the chat again. Right, I think I'm up to date. Jim says, "Thanks, chaps. I'll explore the suggestions." Yeah, give it a go, Jim, and let us know how you get on, because it'll be interesting to know the answer to that one.
Yeah, my question is to take all the wires off and then rewire the phoning and see if you have any loose connection in the phone as well.
Yeah, it could be a sort of half-made connection, or a dirty connection that's causing a bit of static in it. So yeah, make sure all the connections are clean, Jim. What I tend to do, I tend to take all the things off the terminal block in the back of the phone. I tend to take everything off and put it all back, and then the act of unscrewing it and screwing it up again normally cleans them all up. But yeah, it could be anything. As Gambo says, it could be a dial issue, although I doubt it, because normally a dial issue makes it just not work at all.
Exactly, yeah.
But it could be if it's kind of half working, kind of half contacting. So yeah, give it a go. But give that microphone a change. That's the simplest thing to do, and that might just solve it, because we have had this problem before.
I forgot to mention about the Z freeze last week. They're actually withdrawing the Z freeze right now, from service right now.
Are they? Right.
Yeah, they've already got half the fleet withdrawn. They're actually withdrawing the Z freeze rather slowly from service.
Shouldn't tell us things like that. We might end up with one. But
yeah, they're doing one every 3 months.
Just one every 3 months.
Yes, my friend in the tramways told me that.
Why just one every 3 months?
Because they're doing the new trams, and they're doing it every time a new tram enters service. They're withdrawing one old one.
Are they only getting new ones at the rate of one every 3 months then?
Yes.
That's quite slow. Who's building those?
Bombardier, those E-Class trams you saw the other time.
That explains it.
And they're absolute rubbish at the start of it as well, the E-Class trams as well.
Yeah, tell me about it. If Bombardier are the people who built the new trams for Blackpool.
Yeah, if you look at the E-Class trams and now V-Line Velocity, so you'll see they look exactly identical to those two vehicles.
Yeah, what can I say about Bombardier?
Actually, talking about that, Bombardier actually does make our V-Line Velocity trains as well as the trams that you're talking about. That.
Yeah, Bombardier make a lot of things.
No, they're made by Bombardier, the Velocities. They are, Mum.
There's two companies that make rubbish vehicles, basically. One is Bombardier and the other one is CAF. and CAF are worse than Bombardier.
Yeah.
And anybody who has to work on a Bombardier vehicle will now be saying, how can CAF possibly be worse? But trust me, they are.
Yeah, and our Premier of Victoria is actually bringing in more rubbish electric trains in as well. What they're doing, they're withdrawing the old Cummins 980 sets and replacing these modern ex-Bobulus 2.0 rubbish they're bringing into service.
Yep. It'll not work. The problem is they make things too complicated. They make everything computer controlled and all that, and there's all this tiny electronic components inside a train or a tram rattling about and that, and of course the tiniest component, like a capacitor on a circuit board, blows, and it can bring the whole thing to a standstill.
Yeah.
Because
when they bought the new modern HCMT train, so what they go ahead and do the first day ran one, it blew out the substation.
that must have been drawing rather a lot of power then.
Yeah, they didn't realise it was drawing so much power, it fired the actual fuse, the main fuse in the substation.
So it's not a very efficient vehicle, that then, for a modern vehicle, if it's blowing the substation out.
Yeah, what they didn't know, because they're built in China, right? The China substation have more higher amp fuses throughout, and ours have got less amp fuses. So they didn't think of calibrating them for our type of substations. So
Yeah.
so Metro trains learned the hard way when they brought these new trains into service.
Yeah. I can't believe they bought trains from China.
Yeah, they're actually rubbish at the start of it.
Did they get them off AliExpress?
No idea.
eBay and bought some Chinese trains.
Yes.
Buy it now.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Well, I'd better go, Christopher, because we're rapidly running out of time. But it's been nice talking to you again.
Yeah, it's actually 4:51 a.m. here in Australia.
Oh crikey, that's too nice. Now, did you stay up for the Eurovision Song Contest last night?
I didn't see that one.
No, I hear it's a big thing in Australia, the Eurovision Song Contest. Even though you're not in Europe, they do show it in Australia at like 4 o'clock in the morning. It's on in the evening here, but it's like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning where you are.
Yeah, when your stream starts, it's actually 3:30 a.m. here when your stream actually starts.
Oh crikey! Yeah, maybe I need to start doing them in the mornings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll see what we can do.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to go, Christopher. I'll speak to you soon, mate.
Yeah. See you, Andy.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
That's our Christopher 2000 there out in Australia, and that telling us the story about the Melbourne trams. Sounds like they're having a few issues over there. Yeah, all right, I'm just checking the chat. Oh, it's ground to a halt here. Right, I'm just looking if I've missed anything in the chat. Wesley says, I well remember happy childhood holidays to Blackpool and going on the trams. My mum used to live at Thornton and St Anne's when she was a child. Thornton and St Anne's. Was that that's two places in it, Wesley? Because Thornton is north of Blackpool and St Anne's is south. So we used to go and visit her there. Yeah, a friend of mine had relatives that lived in Blackpool on Whitegate Drive, and they got very worried when they built the big wheel on Central Pier, because he said if ever there's a storm, that thing's going to steam across the promenade straight up Whitegate Drive and demolish our house. Michael T. Ten the best Bob Monkhouse joke. Says they all laughed when I said I wanted to be a comedian. Well, they're not laughing now. Yeah, good old Bob. Who remembers Bob Monkhouse on Celebrity Squares? There you go. It's not as long ago as you think it was either. Wesley says Thornton is in the north. Yeah, I thought it'd be Thornton Well, yeah, Thornton's a bit funny because there's Thornton Gate, there's Thornton Cleveley's, there's and the St Anne's, of course, is in the south. St Anne's is the posh end. I bet she moved from Thornton to St Anne's because St Anne's is the posh end of town. But yes, yeah, I've not been to Blackpool for a while actually. Must go. There's a brilliant guy who does videos and live streams from Blackpool, not just about the trams. In fact, very often not about the trams, but just about Blackpool in general, and he's really good. It's called A Walk on the Wild Side. Just type A Walk on the Wild Side Blackpool into YouTube and you'll find him. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Where does it say she was at? Thornton Cleveley's. Yeah, that's where I live, Wesley. When I was there for the summer, I sort of lived in like lodgings in a sort of guest house thing, a proper like British seaside summer season guest house thing that was at Cleveley's. So yeah, very much my part of the world. That quite like that bit. It's far enough out of Blackpool that sort of idiots don't get there. Quite like Thornton Cleveley's. Right, okie dokie. We're rapidly running out of time today. I did. Wesley says they lived on Alexandra Road. Alexandra Road. Wait, I can't remember what road I was on. Can't remember what road it was that I was on. It may have been Alexandra Road actually. I don't know. I just can't remember. I've had a sleep since then. But yeah, yes, it was quite something. That my curtailed summer season. 'Cause like I say, the unions brought the tramway out on strike because the unions were absolute idiots and thought everybody should go out on strike, even though 75% of the workforce didn't want to strike because it was about a pay deal, and 75% of the people were seasonal and had just agreed to work a summer season for a given amount of money. So we felt we hadn't really got any grounds to strike, but they made us come out on strike, and they were very, very militant, the transport unions, at that time in Blackpool. Basically they just made it impossible. And it was no good going there, paying lodgings, and then finding yourself on strike for like 4 days a week or something silly, because then you can't afford to pay the lodgings and that. So in the end, I had to leave because of the strike. Nothing good comes out of unions, in my opinion. If you don't like the job you're doing, don't whinge about it and strike. Go and get a different job. Simple as that, right? As you can probably imagine, I've got no sympathy for all these people who are striking at the minute. If you don't like the job you're doing, don't cause a load of hassle to everybody else. Like if you're a train driver and you don't like the £30,000-40,000 a year that you're on, go and do something else. Go and work in McDonald's. I'll come and drive your train. Sit there, flick that lever forward and that lever backwards. I'll get Christopher over to do it. He'll drive it. Right. Yeah. No sympathy. No sympathy at all. If you don't like the job you're doing, just do a different job. There's plenty of them out there at the minute. Right. Right. Oh, Christopher's come back with some new numbers on the Ericsson phones. What we were saying, the N1900s. He says N1900 E245 is green, when he thought it was yellow, but apparently it's green. and N1900E239 is black. Which leaves 242 and 243 unaccounted for, and the colours that we've got unaccounted for are topaz yellow and Concord without an E on the end, blue. So if anybody's got a topaz yellow or a Concord blue Ericsson E1900 phone, can you have a look at it please and tell us if it's got an E242 or E243 or even a different number on the base of it. Christopher says it's N190E243 is blue, so that one is blue. Right. Penfold says disagree there, Andy. Are you on strike, Penfold? I probably upset some people because they're on strike. You know me, say what you see. In general, I will say this. I think the minimum wage in the UK is far too high, because £10 something an hour for an entry-level job is just too much. That's why nobody can afford to employ anybody anymore. It's just bonkersly high. And if you say, oh well, it needs to be that high because everything costs so much, well, get the price of everything down. Instead of inflation, let's have some deflation and get the price of everything down. Wesley says, I thought they were earning more than that. They may be, Wesley. I was just rough guesstimating at it there, but they may be earning more than that. But this is the thing. When this is the thing about people who go on strike. They go on strike for lots of different reasons. They might go on strike for sort of conditions and things like that, and that's a bit more understandable. But when they go on strike for more money, what they never tell you, and they never tell you, not the nurses, not the train drivers, not anybody, when they go on strike saying we want a pay rise, they never tell you what they're getting now. And I think when they're interviewed and say, "Oh, we're on strike because because of cost of living, we need a pay rise," I think the interviewer should say to them, "Okay, so well, can you tell us what you're getting now so we can put that into perspective?" But they never ever do. Miguel says, "Who can someone sort out my CNET?" Yes, I don't know what the problem is with it, Miguel. Right. Have you got a smartphone by any chance, Miguel? Anything like like a Android phone or even an iPhone? Have you got a smart mobile phone? Because an easier way to get started on CNET would be to download something called the Zoiper app and connect to CNET that way using data on your phone or using Wi-Fi from your phone, because that is actually easier to set up than it is to set up one of these ATAs. So if you've got a smartphone, we can talk you through how to set it up on a smartphone. Much easier than an ATA. It is actually easier on a smartphone than it is on a ATA. It can also be set up on a computer, which is how I've been talking to Christopher today. All I've been doing today to talk to Christopher is I've had this Zoiper program running on my computer, and then the audio from my computer piped into the live stream. But that's easier than setting up an ATA. That would at least get you started and give you a bit of an understanding of how it works, and then once you've got that up and running, you might find it easier to set up the ATA. Also, where are you? Whereabouts in the country are you? Because there may be somebody on here who sort of lives not far away from you who could help you do it. So whereabouts are you? Are you in London? I think you said you were in London, didn't you? Is that right? The Underpants of Doom, that is probably the best username I've ever seen on YouTube, says the problem is the price of housing to buy or rent. Until that comes down, they won't fix the economy. Well, they're building all these millions and millions of houses. Who the hell is buying them or renting them all? That's what I want to know. Miguel says he's in London, in Wallington. Right, is there anybody else around the London area on here who might be able to help me sort out this ATA? Penfold says maybe if they only let people borrow only 3 times their income like they used to do, it might force house prices down. It might. My theory about what went wrong with the economy, and it's quite controversial, but I'll say it anyway, is that COVID made a lot of people rich. And I don't necessarily mean it made millionaires rich or business owners. It made workers rich. Because what happened was, pre-COVID, people used to go to work and do their sort of middle-of-the-road jobs. And then when COVID hit, they were all told, sorry, you can't go to work now, you've got to stay at home, you're furloughed. Because who'd heard of furloughs before COVID? Did they invent the term furloughed for COVID? Because I never heard it before. Anyway, they said you're furloughed. You've got to stay at home. The government will give you 80% of your wages. I know there's a bit of a rigmarole to go through to get it, and I know not everybody got it, but a lot of people did get it. So, people were sat at home during the first months of COVID, and as you would do, they were very worried that they were going to be losing money, because even if they were getting the furlough, it was only 80% of their wages. So how were they going to pay the bills? It was like a 20% wage cut. But after a few months of doing it, a lot of people realised, yeah, at the end of the month, I've now got more money in my bank account than I did when I went to work. But I'm getting 20% less money. Plus there's no overtime on it. How on earth have I got more money in my pocket at the end of the month, but I'm getting 20% less money? So I'm getting 20% less, but at the end of the day I've got more. How's that happening? Well, the realization dawned on lots of people that the cost of going to work was the issue. All these people that were paying 50 quid, 60 quid, 70 quid a week to fill the car with petrol, all these people that were paying £4,000 or £5,000 plus a year for a train ticket, all suddenly realised that more than 20% of their income was going on the cost of actually going to work. And so when the furlough scheme stopped and they said, right, you've all got to go back to work now, that's why a lot of people turned around and said, go back to work, you can cocoa, pal, you can stick your job where the sun don't shine. And that's why now, A, there are so many jobs available out there, and you hear it on the news, all these business owners all the time saying, I can't get anybody to work for me, I can't get anybody to work for me. Well, the reason you can't get anybody to work for you is because it costs too much to go to work. Because fuel prices are too high. And who's going to work unless you absolutely love the job that you do? And let's face it, 99% of people who go to work do not love the job that they do. I'm not saying it doesn't apply to everybody, and somebody will pop up on it and go, I absolutely love my job, I do my job for free. But 99% of people, if they didn't get paid, would not do that job. And so that's what's happened. People have said, right, I didn't enjoy the job, I find I've got more money in my pocket if I don't go to work, so I'm not going to go to work anymore. And that's what's happened, I think. People have realised, a bit late in the game, but they've realised what I realised about 10 years ago, in that you are better off not to work for somebody else. Penfold says, yes, COVID was an excuse for many employers to rip their employees off. How did that work then, Penfold? No, I don't understand that. How did the employers rip the employees off? I think it's probably the other way around. I think the employees rip the employers off. Because they were getting 80% of their money for doing nothing, weren't they? So yeah, COVID made people greedy and lazy across all sectors of work. So, and personally, I couldn't care less if the railways stay on strike forevermore, because COVID's not gone away, and it'll be a dark day in hell before I sit on a bloody train with no opening windows with about 60 or 70 odd other people ever again. So yes, close all the railways and turn them into motorways. That's what I say. Oh, controversial, controversial. Oh, I can feel the comments coming in now for the next week. I can't believe you said they should close all the railways. We rely on the railways. Jim says, my big boss expects current home workers to go back to the office 2 days a week from September 1st. There's so much bad feeling about it. Well, Jim, I can understand there being bad feeling about it, but aside from the bad feeling, your big boss must be stupid. Because if your boss's employees have been working from home for what will by then be 3 years, 3 and a bit years, why has he been renting or paying rates on, paying to maintain an office block for all that time that nobody's in? Why have people going to and certainly why have them going 2 days a week? That's crazy, because you've either bought an office or you're renting an office. Either way, you're paying for it and you're paying for it for 7 days a week, but only using it for 2 of them. So either you want to be using it for 7 days a week and getting your money's worth out of it, or get rid of it and let everybody keep working from home and don't have an office and save that cost. It's absolutely barking mad. Penfold says, COVID was an excuse to decrease the employees' wages by lots and stop their pensions. You can't decrease it below the minimum wage, though, can you? Unless you're like a merchant banker or something like that, it might have got your wages decreased, and in that case, my heart bleeds for you. Hello, it's Christopher again. He's back. Hello, Christopher.
I'm just letting you know. I'm trying to leave a thing in the chat, but it's not. I'm not responding on my end to the chat.
Oh right. Yep.
I'm trying to tell you. I found out the information about those numbers on BritishTelephones.com.
Right.
It's got a list that says the Ericsson N number. Beside them, it shows the colours what it responds to.
Does it?
Yeah.
Right. I hadn't found that page. It's on. Have you got the address of it? That page?
It's BritishTelephones.com, and so that one you showed many months back now.
BritishTelephones.com. Yeah, I know the one. Well, I think we've worked it out, because you said E243 was blue, didn't you?
Yep.
That's definitely blue.
I'll open it up and tell you.
That's definitely blue, is it? E243.
Yep.
So
this thing I can tell you because I can't back thing in the mic. It's N1900E239 for black.
Yeah.
E241 for red.
Yep.
E243 for blue.
Yep.
No E244 is that's grey.
Yep.
And green is E245.
Yep.
But it doesn't say about topaz yellow.
Well, the one that's missing out of that is E242, so that must be yellow.
Yeah, because it doesn't actually show on the website on the thing.
Yeah, it sometimes doesn't have complete information, and also his information is gleaned from other places and from other people, and sometimes it's only as good as the information he's been given.
And can you tell me if this thing comes to... I'm putting GPO746 on the chat. Can you tell me if it comes on your side?
On the chat? Yeah, GPO746, it's appeared on the chat, yeah.
That's weird. It wasn't working when I tried typing the thing in before.
Yeah, it's a weird YouTube thing. The chat sometimes glitches. Like the stream sometimes glitch. It's YouTube.
Yeah, I was in the chat saying I found where the numbers for the colours on the Jeep on British Telephones dock and didn't show up on your side of the chat.
Yeah, it should show up on my side now. Yeah.
I put it in four times, never showed up. I'll put it in again to see if it comes up on your end.
Maybe it was glitching.
I just put it in now, and it should come on your side.
Not appeared yet. Nope.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening there. It works with certain, when we put certain names, it doesn't want to come up.
Yeah, maybe it thinks it's a link or something. YouTube does weird stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we've worked it out anyway. We've worked it out. So these N numbers, from what you've said and from what I've worked out by filling in the spaces, N1900 E239 is black, E240 is ivory, E241 is red, E242 is yellow, E243 is Concord blue, E244 is grey, and E245 is green.
Yes.
And that's the full list. That's all 7, isn't it? Because there won't have been a brown, will there? No, because that was only 746s. So that'll be the full list for N1900s. Now I'm assuming there's something similar for other Ericsson phones or N19 something else's.
Yeah,
I'm
like
assuming.
Like N1970B. Like mine is here, the rare
Yeah.
one I've got.
Yeah. I'm assuming things like that have also got colour codes on the end.
But
these are the common ones. N1900 are the common ones, and that's the colour codes. So if anybody out there has got any of these numbers that are not this colour, then your phone, I'll hold it up so you can see it somewhere. If you've got any of those that are not those colours, then your phone has probably got a replacement case on it. And if you want to restore it back to the original colour, folks, there they are.
Yeah, the
If you want
Ericsson,
to
I've
take a
got
screen
the,
grab of that.
Yeah, the Ericsson, I've got the N1970, but they're the very rare Ericsson phones. Don't see them come up often on eBay or anywhere else.
Yeah, Ericsson did all sorts of different things.
Well, I'm guessing there's another, I'd say, another 4 of them out there, I'm pretty sure.
4?
Yes.
Only 4?
Yeah, one of each colour I'm referring to.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah,
I've got the black one and I've got the green one.
Right, so... Well, they probably did make them in every colour.
Yeah.
They didn't always make everything in every colour. But Ericsson did tend to do everything in every colour. Yeah, because the GPO, a lot of the unusual things, GPO only did in like grey, black and ivory. But I think Ericsson did do everything, every colour, as far as I'm aware. But obviously grey ones are commonest, because I think in offices and that, I think the idea was grey matched the colour of filing cabinets in the 1960s and 1970s.
Yes.
You know, those metal filing cabinets, similar to this one that's behind me here. Yeah, where is it? Not that way, there. There. Yeah, so yeah, that's the numbers. Right, we'd better call it a night, I think, Christopher. It's getting off for 8:30. It must be almost time to get up in Australia.
Yes. It's about 5:21 in Australia.
Oh, it's nearly morning, nearly Monday morning. That'll be nice.
Yes.
What are you doing on Monday?
I'm planning to go and film the overhead down on the tramway before they replace with the new stuff.
Excellent. Yeah. See if they're taking the frogs out, see if you can snaffle a frog to add to your collection.
Yeah.
Right. It will do as well.
I've got a lot of tram stuff as well from my friend who works in the South Bank tram depot.
Yeah. Excellent.
I can't mention on here what it is because he told me not to mention this. I can't mention what exactly is on here.
Right. Okay. Yeah. You said enough. Yeah. All right. Needless to say, there's plenty of bits of the Australian tramways that are getting preserved. Yeah. So yeah. Right, I'm going to go, Christopher, because we're going to side off the stream in a minute or two. But we'll see you soon, mate. Thanks for the information.
Yep. Thanks, Andy.
Cheers, Christopher. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
That was Christopher there with the last bit of the information about the phones. Well, yeah, I'm kind of losing power of speech. I am here at the minute. It's all sort of going. Right, so we're going to close the phone lines for tonight. Thanks to Christopher and Michael T for taking part. Did we get anywhere with when we get CNET problem? I said to him, do you have a what's it phone? Do you have like a smartphone, like an Android phone or an iPhone or something like that? Because if you do, it's much easier to set CNET up on one of those than it is to set it up on a ATA. Michael T says, you're going to get some stick now, Andy. Yeah, probably, but I get a stick anyway, Michael. The people who rant at me about what I say on the videos, you know, they go, I watched your video and I think it's very, very wrong. Nah, 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 nah. And what those people that rant don't realise is they've watched the video, they've watched the advert, and hence I've been paid. So, yeah. You don't have to like what we do on YouTube, you just have to watch it. The Underpants of Doom says, I had a GEC in green from 1962. A GEC, was that a GPO phone, or was that a GEC privately issued one? But yeah, 1962, that would probably have had a Diacon case on it. So probably didn't discolour. The Underpants of Doom says, I don't have many non-GPO post office telephones, and even they are non-standard. The two oddballs I showed a few months back. The Underpants of Doom also says, if you're living in the south of England and paying £1,000 a month to rent a one-bedroom flat, then £110 a month council tax, the minimum wage isn't going to go far. No, but if you can't afford to live there on the minimum wage, then don't live there and do a job somewhere else, and then the people who want to employ somebody there where minimum wage people can't afford to live will have to pay more to get people anyway. So you don't need a minimum wage, because the wage will set itself by how much the company there needs staff. Because if they're absolutely desperate for staff, they'll pay more for them. I'm not saying you shouldn't pay staff a lot of money. What I'm saying is you shouldn't have a minimum wage that stops people working for less than £10 an hour if they want to. That is what I am getting at. The Underpants of Doom says his green GEC was private. It had just numbers on the bezel. Miguel says he'll have another look at CNET. Yeah, have a look at it, Miguel. Like I say, if you've got a smartphone or something, or even like a tablet that you use on the internet, or even a computer, look at downloading an app called Zoiper, ZOIPER, and if you can get that app downloaded, you should be able to connect to CNET using that. And we can talk you through that, because that is basically exactly the same on whatever device you're using it on. The difficulty with setting up ATAs is different ATAs are a little bit different how you set them up. It's a bit like your router, your internet router. They all do the same thing, but when you go into it, each one looks a bit different, the software on it. But if you go on a computer or on a tablet or something, and you do it on Zoiper, then Zoiper's the same on everything. So it's much easier to talk you through setting it up on Zoiper. And then once you've got it set up, you get more of an understanding of how it works once you have got it set up, and then you can do more complicated things with it. Christopher 2000 says, I see you've got an ivory phone in the background. Have I? Oh, up there. Yes, I have. Yeah, that's the one that was on a few weeks ago. That's the phone with the Mercury sticker on it. Yeah, it's just an ordinary 746, that, but it's interesting because it's got a Mercury sticker on it. It's going dark. Let's put some lights on. There we go. Yeah, it's got a Mercury. I don't know if I can reach it. Oh, hello. There's wires everywhere. It's got a dial 132 for Mercury sticker on it, you see. But yes, it's a phone that needs some work, that one. It's one that's sitting here. It has theoretically got a line code on it. It needs a bit of work doing on it, that. And I'm going to have to take my headset off a minute. Just bear with me a sec. Right, I'm back, but only briefly, probably, because it's almost time to say goodbye, at least for this week. Gambo says, do you plan to do something with the plan phone? Yes, I was planning to, Gambo, but we've overrun a bit tonight. So yeah, I was going to sort of show you inside that, because the wiring inside one of those is phenomenal. So yeah, I was going to have a little look at that. But we'll do it next week. At least we'll try to do it next week. Right. Gambo says, are you doing anything with the G plan, or are you just converting it just to work on a main line or exchange to exchange? I think I'm going to try and wire it up so it works as it should. Yeah, we're going to try and wire it up as an actual plan set, because somebody asked me about this ages ago. It may even have been you, Gambo. But somebody asked me about wiring up a plan set ages and ages ago, and I said, well, I've got one. Well, I've got two now, but not wired up. So I'm going to try. I think I might now have got enough bits to wire up a fully working plan set. So we're going to have a go. Gambo says, yeah, there are a lot of wires, hence why I've not tried opening mine yet. Yeah, there's a lot in that. I had a quick look before we came on air this evening, and there's a lot. Right, so we'll have a look at that next week. We'll have a look at the old plan set thing here next week, if we possibly can. So if you've got one of these with the little base on it, with all the buttons and things on, then next week you might not want to miss. But that is about as far as we go for this week. A very controversial episode of Andy's Shed Live this week, but we do like to get a bit of a talking point going and stuff. So so yeah, we do like to put the other views out there, and we'll stir the pot a bit. Thanks to everybody for taking part. I think it's been a bit of a record breaker for the number of people in the chat this week. So many people on this week. It's been really good. Thanks to everybody for taking part, and also for such a wide variety of subjects and stuff in the chat as well, from people on strike to telephones to Australian trams. We've covered the whole gambit of it tonight. So I do hope you've enjoyed what we've done for the last couple of hours or so. If you have, we'll be back doing something similar again next week. And remember, if you want to support the show and keep us on air, then you can by joining us on Patreon. It's here, patreon.com/Andy Shed is the Patreon account you want to go to, and you'll get a little your name on the captions on the credits of the show if you join us there on Patreon. Also remember, we do have a forum when we're not on air. It's here, gpotelephones.proboards.com. that is the forum that you can go and find us at. And remember the old website as well, andyshed.colepress.net is the place to go for that. Regarding the radio station, people are asking about the radio station. Yeah, we are going to be doing a fundraiser for the radio station very, very soon. So if you want to help out either at the radio station in person, or if you are up for donating a few quid, or if you're just generally interested and just generally want to see more about it, watch out for a live stream from the radio station fairly soon. I think there might be something happening in 2 or 3 weeks' time, possibly the bank holiday weekend, I'm not sure. But yeah, basically the radio station is almost ready to go on air, but we've got to basically spend some fairly big money now. We've got some big ticket items that we've got to purchase to get us on air. It's mainly licensing and things like that. But we've got 2 or 3 big ticket items we've got to purchase to actually get us on air now. So there's going to be more episodes of How to Start a Radio Station coming up over the next few weeks. You may have noticed a new episode has dropped. I don't know if it dropped yesterday or today. But a new short episode has dropped. There are going to be a few more, and then as I say, there's going to be a live show in a couple of weeks' time, I think it is. So yeah, we'll be telling you more about it then. But we are looking for people to come and take part in the radio station. So if you're anywhere on the sort of Derbyshire, Nottinghamshire border, if you're anywhere in that kind of area around the North Notts, Derbyshire area, then yeah, or if you can travel to it even, then yeah, and you fancy go to the radio station, then that's the one to watch, and we'll tell you how you can take part and become a part of PVR. Right, that really is as far as we go for this week. I will see you all around about the same time, same place next week. If any of you are around the Cromford area near Matlock next Sunday, I will be out and about with the stationary engines at Arkwright's Mill at Cromford next Sunday from about 10 till about 3 next Sunday. So if you want to come and see us with the stationary engines next Sunday, we were there about 10 till 3 in the car park there at Arkwright's Mill. But from me for now, have a fantastic week ahead, and we will see you very, very soon. Bye for now, everybody.